The lovely and carefree mermaid Princess Sandra resided in the fascinating underwater nation of Atlantia. She played with her fellow merfolk and swam among colorful coral reefs, immersing herself in the delights of the water every day. Sandra, though, longed for something more, a world that extended beyond the sea. A ship fought the turbulent waves one stormy night as lightning flared across the gloomy sky. The stormy sea was threatening to engulf the ship, and in the confusion one figure was clinging to a fragment of wreckage. It was Captain William, a fearless and daring sailor who was left to the wrath of the ocean. Attracted by the disturbance, Sandra dived in to have a look. Her curiosity and her inexplicable bond with the human sailor intertwined with every instant that went by. Sandra swam to his help, disregarding the advice of her devoted friends and using her entrancing voice to lead him to safety. A spark between them erupted as Captain William's eyes met Sandra's sparkling emerald gaze, an unspoken connection that surpassed their differences. They could not dispute the indisputable chemistry that flowed through their veins, even in spite of the perilous circumstances that brought them together. But their relationship was not meant to be simple. Rumors began to circulate throughout the undersea kingdom as word of the unlawful relationship between a mermaid and a human spread. Love between the two worlds, according to the merfolk, is an abomination and a transgression of the old rules that govern their domain. Intrigued and unfazed, Sandra and William started meeting in secret, feelings of both exhilaration and apprehension in their hearts. Beneath the lunar surface, they enjoyed private moments together, telling each other stories about their different worlds and hoping for a time when they might be together without restrictions. However, the danger that surrounding them increased along with their love. Sandra's father, strict monarch King Triton, was informed about their illicit relationship due to custom. He promised to break up with her out of anger and worry for his daughter's safety, knowing full well that it would have dire repercussions for their kingdom. The king, Sandra's father, disapproves of their relationship because it disobeys the rules of their underwater country. Throughout the undersea kingdom of Atlantia, rumors of Princess Sandra's illicit love with Captain William soon spread like wildfire. The merpeople murmured in low whispers, full of curiosity, disdain, and fascination. One voice rose above the rest of the murmurs, that of Sandra's father, King Triton, the Atlantean monarch. Strong, wise, and steadfast in his devotion to custom, King Triton was a fearsome character. His heart grew heavy with worry and disappointment upon learning about Sandra's relationship. Determined to treat the situation with the utmost seriousness, he summoned an emergency meeting of the council. The council, made up of sage merpeople from many walks of life, met in the Coral Palace's great room. Standing at the head of the hall, King Triton addressed the assembled council members in a somber tone, his regal presence commanding attention. "My fellow council members," King Triton spoke loudly in the room. "We are confronted with an issue that cuts to the very foundation of our customs and values. In a strange turn of events, our dear Princess Sandra has become attached to a human seaman named Captain William who washed ashore." The council members looked at each other worriedly, their faces displaying a mix of fear and amazement. They were aware of the seriousness of the situation and the possible repercussions that an unusual relationship would have on their kingdom. King Triton went on, "Our laws and customs have long dictated that our kind should not mingle with humans. And with good cause. Such an alliance has the potential to upend the delicate equilibrium we have established and the peace of our world. To defend our kingdom and way of life, we must move quickly and forcefully. The council members raised their voices, each voicing their unique concerns and ideas. Others mirrored King Triton's views, stressing the need of maintaining Atlantea's stability and heritage. Others appealed for empathy and a more tolerant mindset that would enable love to triumph over bigotry. Hiding in the shadows of the Great Hall, Sandra paid close attention to the conversations going on all around her. Her veins were filled with a mixture of fear, despair, and resolve. She loved William, but as the king's daughter and a princess, she had obligations that she couldn't ignore. King Triton became increasingly determined as the council pondered. He said he would go directly to Sandra and Captain William and try to talk them out of their disastrous relationship. He thought he could keep Sandra and Atlantea safe by revealing the risks and repercussions their love could have on the globe. Sandra was heartbroken to learn that her father, the king, disapproved of her feelings for Captain William. Sandra and William would have to overcome a great obstacle as the tension mounted, not just to break the rules of their undersea kingdom, but also to heal the rift between their love and society's expectations of them. Princess Sandra, crushed by her father's rejection and driven to discover a means to unite her world and Captain William's, set out on a treacherous quest to explore the deepest recesses of the ocean in search of an answer. Rumors circulated of a formidable and enigmatic sea witch who could bestow miraculous blessings in return for a hefty sum. Sandra fought against the currents that tried to carry her away as she made her way through dangerous underwater passageways, guided by stories that had been passed down through the generations. She finally reached the Sea Witch's dominion, a stunningly gorgeous lair teeming with shimmering bioluminescent creatures, after what seemed like an age. Morgana, the Sea Witch, was a mysterious person who was renowned for her sly and capricious demeanor. Sandra stepped forward and Morgana met her gaze with a menacing smirk on her lips. "What brings a princess of the sea to my humble abode?" Morgana's voice, full of curiosity mixed with ill will, reverberated throughout the cavern. Sandra argued her case with a desperate tone in her voice. "I need your help, Morgana, the powerful one. I want to prove to my father that my love for Captain William is real." "Oh, powerful one, will you aid me?" Morgana thought over Sandra's request, her amusement-filled eyes glimmering. There was a pause before she started, her voice full of hope and caution. "You have my permission, little princess. I can offer you the opportunity to mingle with people and get a personal look at their world. But keep in mind that everything has a cost." Sandra felt a twinge of anxiety and optimism in her heart. She was aware that Morgana's transactions frequently had unintended effects, but she couldn't help but be drawn to the attraction of a transient human form. Sandra said, her voice firm despite the underlying doubt, "I am willing to pay any price." Morgana grinned widely, flashing rows of bright, pointed teeth. "Excellent, my lovely princess. I will take your entrancing voice as payment for your metamorphosis. You won't be able to talk to anyone, not even Captain William, without it. Make an informed choice." Sandra paused, realizing the enormity of the sacrifice she was about to undertake. Her voice was a part of her, the very thing that enthralled people and made her world smile, and losing it meant losing that too. However, her intense love for William kindled a fierce drive in her. Sandra nodded, agreeing to Morgana's conditions. Sandra felt the Sea Witch's magic encompass her and change her shape, causing her tail to split into legs and her scales to change into soft skin. She came up from the abyss as a person, her voice taken, but hope still alive in her heart. Sandra, who is temporarily a human, is going to locate Captain William and show him how much she cares. She would have to rely on her deeds and unshakable commitment to show how deeply she felt, since her voice would be muted. There were many obstacles in Sandra's way, but she was determined to go past them in order to gain her father's and Captain William's acceptance. Princess Sandra's heart raced with a mixture of excitement and urgency as she surfaced from the ocean's depths in her new human form. She felt the pressure of her task and the knowledge that her time as a human was finite. Before her change reversed and she became a mermaid again, she had to win over Captain William's heart and show to her father, King Triton, that their love was real. Sandra's voice was taken, so she had to rely on the power of her soft movements, her expressive eyes, and the language of the heart. She went looking for Captain William, who had won her heart the minute he washed up on the coast during the storm. Sandra set out to find him, determined to make the most of their time together before it was too late. As Sandra made her way through the busy streets of the human world, her eyes widened in awe of its vivid diversity. Days gradually turned into nights. She became accustomed to their way of life by seeing their interactions and habits. She was able to connect with people despite the communication barriers by being warm and genuine, and she left a lasting effect on everyone she came into contact with. Sandra learned that Captain William was a sailor who frequently visited a busy port town during her quest for him. Her pulse was racing with eagerness as she made her way to the harbor with a glimpse of optimism. She eventually saw him there, among the thronging people and the steady pounding of the waves. Sandra walked up to Captain William, and as her eyes locked with his, a flash of recognition lit up his eyes. Even though she was unable to talk, she expressed her feelings with her body language and her eyes, which shone with a love that transcended their respective realms. She tried to show how committed she was and how real her feelings were with every second that went by. But time escaped their grasp like sand grains, and every day that went by brought Sandra one step closer to her unavoidable metamorphosis. She cherished their shared giggles, sly looks, and delicate touches, and she cherished every moment she had with Captain William. As their relationship grew, a profound understanding that cut over linguistic and cultural divides emerged. Back in Atlantia, King Triton struggled with his own mixed feelings. The weight of his daughter's absence was heavy on him, and though he was skeptical, he couldn't help but experience a glimmer of curiosity and hope that maybe Sandra really did love Captain William. Sandra was forced to choose between her obligation to return to Atlantia and her love for Captain William as the days became shorter. Now was the moment to confront her father, to show him how much she loved him and how much she had changed. She bade Captain William goodbye with a sad heart, leaving him with a promise. No matter what hurdles stood in their way, they would find a way to cross their worlds and bring their love together. Princess Sandra felt a mixture of trepidation and resolve as she stood in front of King Triton. With her voice back, she had traveled back to Atlantia prepared to confront her father and the restrictions that had prevented her from loving Captain William. Both their love's destiny and the future of their two universes were in jeopardy. King Triton looked at Sandra with a mixture of interest and worry. Throughout his daughter's absence, he had struggled with mixed feelings and had missed her terribly. Now, as he saw Sandra's change, the intensity of her love, and her readiness to give up her identity for love, a kernel of comprehension started to grow inside of him. "My dear daughter," King Triton said, regretting yet lovingly at the same time, "I have really missed you, and being without you has made me realize how powerful love is and how far people would go to win it. Sandra, tell me, are you really in love with Captain William? Is it capable of withstanding the upcoming challenges?" Sandra nodded, resolve and hope shining in her eyes. Father, you have my undying affection for Captain William. He has opened my eyes to a world beyond our own, and in him I have discovered an unconditional love and a kindred spirit. I think that our union will help our kingdoms comprehend and live in harmony with one another." With a heavy heart from tradition and duty, King Triton moaned. He turned slowly to face the assembled council members, the sage merpeople who had stood with him during his rule. "Council members, I've learned that love has no boundaries and that accepting change is what makes our kingdom strong. The regulations that have separated us from the human world need to be reevaluated." The members of the council glanced at one another, their looks a mixture of astonishment and thought. Although they had long followed Atlantean norms and customs, Sandra's genuine love and her willingness to forego her own happiness had won them over. The council members agreed one by one, recognizing the need for harmony and change. The rules that had previously prohibited merfolk from interacting with humans were changed, enabling the growth of acceptance, love, and understanding. As word of the kingdom's metamorphosis spread, joy and hope surged across Atlantia. Previously constrained by rigid customs, the merpeople now welcomed the prospect of a time when love would triumph over all. The realm came together to back Princess Sandra and her affection for Captain William. Sandra and William's love story became a source of inspiration and optimism once they experienced this newfound acceptance. With hearts brimming with happiness and appreciation for the kingdom that had accepted their love, they were able to get back together. Sandra and William made their love pledge to each other in front of King Triton and the entire Atlantean realm in a lavish ceremony. A new era of harmony and understanding between their realms was symbolized by the union of a human sailor and a mermaid princess. Sandra and William's marriage was joyfully and merrily celebrated. In addition to overcoming the challenges that had previously stood in their way, their love had significantly altered the attitudes and regulations of the undersea realm. Sandra and William believed that true, selfless love could overcome all obstacles and bring even the unlikeliest of people together as they set sail for their future together. Following their lavish nuptial celebration, Princess Sandra and Captain William started a new chapter in their life, full of optimism and aspirations for a peaceful future together. They quickly found, though, that a number of hardships, including cultural differences, societal prejudices, and the requirement for personal sacrifices, would put their love to the test. Their worlds were so different from one another that it was one of their first problems. Sandra, the mermaid princess, was used to the ocean's depths and the colorful creatures that lived there, but William, the human sailor, had traveled the world's great expanses by boat and had seen many other places. Their disparate upbringings and lifestyles caused a steep learning curve as they adapted to one another's traditions and expectations. Another obstacle was found to be communication. Even after Sandra's voice came back, there were times when words could not express how deeply they felt. To get past their differences, they had to rely on tolerance, compassion, and the language of love. Apart from their interpersonal relationships, Sandra and William had to deal with the critical looks and murmurs from the community. Due to the long-standing hostilities between humans and merfolk, prejudices and preconceptions surrounded their connection. There was opposition and judgment because some members of both communities saw their coupling as a danger to stability and tradition. Sandra and William depended on their unshakable love and the strength of their relationship to get through these difficulties. They took comfort in the knowledge that their bond was based on tolerance, acceptance, and a common ideal of a society in which individuality was valued rather than feared. Individual compromises turned into a recurrent motif during their voyage. Sandra found herself struggling with the weight of responsibility as she tried to balance her love for William with her responsibilities to Atlantia. She longed for a life in which she could be at William's side without fail, but she was drawn back to the ocean's depths by her duties to her country. She had to make the difficult decision to put her own happiness ahead of her people's welfare. William gave up some of his personal things as well. He had to adjust to the underwater world, which was very different from his own experiences, and let go of his maritime adventures. He learned about the nuances of merfolk society and the sacrifices made to preserve their way of life as he made his way through the convoluted politics of Atlantia. Sandra and William developed both as a pair and as individuals as a result of their struggles. They disregarded conventional wisdom, disproved stereotypes, and cross-cultural barriers. Their bond came to symbolize the strength of empathy, compassion, and a shared resolve to overcome hardship. William and Sandra grew stronger as a result of their struggles, their love enduring the challenges they faced. Though their journey was far from ended, they faced the future together and with the knowledge that their relationship would never falter. Unified by their love, they persevered in overcoming the obstacles in their entwined lives, encouraging others to appreciate and understand one another despite differences.